Is the latest from China, which has called for a de-escalation in Ukraine, and this is in with respect to the latest annexation that is done by Russia on occupied regions in Ukraine. So I have on this bulletin Maroof Raza, who is a strategic affair expert, has joined me live on this broadcast. Maroof, please give us more details about this de-escalation process. How did it occur, and what would be the impact of this order by China on Russia and Ukraine? What can we expect now?
See, let me clarify a few things. China is in no position to order Russia. China has only suggested a process of de-escalation, which is what many countries are suggesting. Europeans, India, and the whole world wants a de-escalation. The second thing is that as far as de-escalation is concerned, I don't see any de-escalation taking place because fighting is still going on. Russia blames Ukraine for blowing up a bridge leading to Crimea. Now Ukraine says Russia has increased attacks on locations and 12 to 15 civilians have been killed. So the conflict is going on. It is a conflict of attrition where both sides from time to time will be attacking and taking advantage of the weakness of the other. De-escalation will only take place when both sides will agree that they will not fire any further and create any situation which is going to be something which could lead to a bigger conflict. What the world wants is an assurance from Russia that it will not use nuclear weapons. Russia says it is keeping that option open, which is essentially tactical nuclear weapons, small-scale nuclear weapons, if Russia's ambitions are countered by US-led Ukraine offensive. The Ukrainian counteroffensive is not Ukrainian itself. It's led by the Americans that want the fighting to continue so that Russia continues to run out of ammunition and manpower. But Russia is not some tin pot dictatorship. Russia is a superpower. It will last out very long. And to serve their own ambitions, America wants the conflict to continue. The people at the receiving end are the civilians who are caught up in the crossfire. Russia has said that it is willing to de-escalate if its current position of annexation of the regions which were anyway under Russian influence and control for several years, the eastern part of Ukraine's 4 regions, if that annexation is acceptable, then I think there is a way forward and talks can lead to a ceasefire. If the world continues to denounce that, then the conflict will continue. And the conflict will continue. America will make money selling weapons to Ukraine and getting the Europeans to pay for it. And the Russians will make money as long as tensions are high and Russia sells oil and gas at much higher rates than what they actually are. And so, therefore, what you're seeing at the end is a situation where America and Russia are making money, and the civilians in Ukraine are the target of the fighting. And the fighting, I don't see it de-escalating. China, India, or anybody making suggestions. These are just suggestions. Has China agreed to sit down there and be the negotiator? Will the world accept China as the mediator? China may be acceptable to Russia, but China is not acceptable to the rest of the world. America may be acceptable to the Europeans, but America is not acceptable to the Russians. So who will be the mediator? These are the big questions which nobody is answering, and people are just getting excited about one bomb blast here and another advantage there and another bridge blown off in another direction and missiles being fired left, right, and center. These are all symptoms of a long, drawn-out, slow-moving conflict, which I don't see ending in the short run. Back to you.
Right, sir. But if I may ask you, you just said that war is still going on. Russia is still attacking Ukraine, and there's no, like, Kiev, loud explosions were heard in Kiev today. So what is exactly the reason that China is making this departure from its earlier position on this conflict, if I may ask you?
China wants to appear to be a sensible, moderate country which goes by UN norms and UN resolutions on various subjects. And China wants to carve its own place in geopolitics. But here, China has no role in getting the conflict to stop. China is only a beneficiary, and the benefit to China comes from Russia selling China oil and gas at lower prices than the rest of the world, and China getting high technology weapon systems from Russia in the long run, and China and Russia becoming a partner against American dominance of Europe and the world. I cannot see China having any other benefit from this conflict. So China will make these statements to try and appear to be a responsible member of the world. But China has itself been threatening conflict against India and Taiwan and so many other areas in China's borders. China has no face to offer a peace solution. It should seek peace where it is already creating tensions instead of trying to move in and become a peace mediator where two other countries are fighting.
Right, sir. Sir, I have one more question to ask you. That Russia, we know that Russia for a very long time negotiations were going on, and although we saw that war was still on ground, but there were no loud attacks or wild attacks that were happening in Ukraine, like we had seen earlier when the war had just begun. But what suddenly triggered Russia to suddenly go for this escalation again? And how should India be looking at these developments?
See, as far as Russia is concerned, the blowing up of the bridge leading to Crimea has been a big blow to Russia's strategy and to its ego. So Russia will get back by launching missiles at other parts of Ukraine, because clearly the attack on the bridge has come from Ukraine with weapon systems supplied by the United States. As far as India is concerned, India has always asked for a peaceful resolution of the conflict. India has not offered to mediate. It is allergic to mediation because of the Kashmir issue. Tomorrow it will be asked to mediate over the Kashmir issue. And thirdly, India wants a peaceful resolution to the conflict so that the rest of the world goes back to life as normal. Ukraine was a big supplier of grain, fertilizers, and various other things to India. Those supplies have impacted India. The conflict goes on. Oil prices will remain high. It will impact India's economy. So these are factors of India's concerns. It is essentially a conflict in Europe, and the Europeans have to sort the problem out. India can't sort it for them.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for sharing all those details with us. And that was the latest in regards with Ukraine and China's stand on Ukraine. Now China has announced de-escalation in Ukraine.